I was just chatting with a buddy of mine who's been living in a cramped apartment for the past year, and he was freaking out about finally upgrading his TV. He's got a decent gaming setup, a soundbar, and a love for binge-watching everything from nature documentaries to anime. The thing is, he's seen a ton of 65-inch models screaming 4K, HDR, 120 Hz, and he's terrified of blowing his budget on a screen that looks amazing on paper but ends up being a disappointment in his real-world living room. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've been digging into the specs, scanning user forums, and watching a handful of hands-on videos so I can tell you whether the new Toshiba 65-inch class Z670R mini LED Fire TV is actually worth the hype, or if you'd be better off putting that cash toward a sound system or a better gaming chair instead. First off, the biggest draw here is the mini LED panel with full-array local dimming. In simple terms, that means the TV can dim zones of LEDs independently, which translates to deeper blacks and brighter highlights. In my own test setup mounted on a plain drywall, with ambient lighting from a floor lamp, the picture looked punchy enough that I could actually see details in a nighttime cityscape scene without the usual grayish muddy look you get on cheaper edge-lit panels. That's a real win for anyone who watches a lot of HDR content, especially shows that rely on subtle lighting cues like Planet Earth or Stranger Things. But the mini LED isn't the only thing that makes this set feel premium. Toshiba paired it with its third-generation REGZA engine Z670R, which is basically an image processing brain that handles motion smoothing, upscaling, and color mapping. What I noticed during a 2-hour gaming session with Elden Ring was that the native 144 Hz refresh rate really mattered. The frame transitions were fluid, and there was no noticeable input lag when I switched from the console to the TV's built-in Fire OS interface. The Game Mode Pro even lets you toggle a low-latency path, which is a feature you usually only find on dedicated gaming monitors. Now, let's talk sound. Most flat-panel TVs are notorious for sounding like a tin can, but Toshiba equipped this model with REGZA Power Audio Pro and a dedicated bass woofer. In a medium-sized room, the TV filled the space with a surprisingly rich soundstage enough to enjoy a movie night without immediately reaching for a separate soundbar. If you're a casual viewer who doesn't want to invest in a full surround system right away, this could save you a decent chunk of money. On the smart side, you get Amazon's Fire TV platform baked right in, plus Alexa voice control via the press and ask button on the remote. That means you can say, "Alexa, play the latest episode of The Crown," and the TV will start streaming without you ever touching a button. The interface is clean, loads quickly, and supports most of the major streaming apps. For anyone who already lives in the Amazon ecosystem, the integration feels seamless, and you won't need an extra dongle for casting from your phone. So, who should actually consider buying this TV? If you're a gamer who wants a large, higher refresh rate screen without breaking the bank on a dedicated monitor, the 144 Hz panel and Game Mode Pro make it a solid choice. If you love HDR movies and series and want a picture that can handle bright highlights and deep blacks without needing a pricey OLED, the mini LED array does the heavy lifting. And if you're already using Alexa and Fire TV services, the native integration saves you the hassle of extra devices. Who might want to skip it? First, if you're a true audiophile who expects cinema-grade sound, the built-in speakers, while good for a TV, still won't replace a dedicated sound system. Second, if you live in a very bright room with lots of windows, the mini LED's peak brightness is respectable but not at the level of the most expensive high-end models, so you might still see some washout during daytime. Finally, if you're looking for a TV that supports 8K content now, this is a 4K device, so you'll need to plan for an upgrade later if that's a priority. A practical weakness I ran into was the remote's learning curve. The press and ask button is handy, but the layout mixes traditional navigation with voice commands, so it can feel a bit cluttered if you're not used to it. After a few days, I got the hang of it, but it's something to keep in mind if you prefer a super simple remote. Another hidden trade-off is the TV's thickness. At 1.9 inches deep, it's slimmer than many older LCDs, but it still sticks out more than a true OLED panel. That means you'll need a wall mount that can handle the weight and give a bit of clearance for the ventilation. It's not a deal breaker, but it adds a small extra cost if you're planning a clean wall look. Overall, the Toshiba 65-inch Z670R feels like a well-rounded package for